Hello, and welcome to the second episode of Drawing with Rob. Hopefully this video finds you feeling happy and healthy. Thanks for stopping by and choosing to spend a little time drawing with me today. As always, we'll need a few materials before we start. A pencil, a couple of erasers, some pens for inking, and of course a pad to draw on. This week, we're going to be drawing Rey from Star Wars: The Last Jedi. This is a speed draw video and is sped up much faster than real time. If at any time you feel like things are moving too fast, please press the pause button or change the playback speed in your YouTube player. As usual, I'm starting off this figure with the head. And this is as good a time as any to say that the theme of this week's video is failure. Because this week, I really struggle with the face on this character. I construct the head with a circle, throw in a center line, and draw a partial oval on the side of the circle to flesh it out into a more spherical shape. I put down some guidelines to help keep the eyes lined up with one another, draw a jawline, and then, as I attempt to rough in the eyes, I'm immediately unhappy with how this head is going. In retrospect, I should have stopped after drawing the jawline and just continued on to the construction of the body, rather than getting bogged down and roughing in facial features. I draw in an oval shape to represent the rib cage, give a bit of an indication of a shoulder on the character's right side, and then rough in some skinny cylinders for the arms. The construction phase is where you set up the character's proportions, and it establishes the basic structure that will hold up the rest of your drawing. For a brief moment, I revisit the face during the construction phase. Another unwise decision. All I managed to do is make the character's facial sketch look even less like an actual human being. So again, I retreat from a battle I shouldn't have engaged in so early on. I sketch in some details of Rey's wardrobe, and then I go back to the head to sketch in the hair, thinking, well, maybe if I throw some hair on, I can start to make this face not suck so hard. I was wrong. The hair didn't help. The facial structure is now a disaster. I've managed to create a figure with a head that looks like it belongs to a person who barely survived a moisture farming accident. I break out the eraser, attempt to fix the jawline, rough in some hair directions, but this thing is still not quite looking human. This is when the thought first occurs to me that I may have failed. Perhaps I should just stop the recording, scrap the page, and do all this again. No one would ever know. I keep trying, and it keeps not really helping. This face is a tragedy. A thing that is both a tragedy and a travesty at the same time. Every line I add seems to be one more drop in a bucket that's labeled failure. I stop recording. You'll see that there's a rough cut here where my hand just appears, furiously erasing the face. I'd already erased most of it off camera. I was going to scrap the footage I'd recorded and just start from scratch. Maybe ultimately that's what I should have done. When I was younger, that's definitely what I would have done. But I decided not to be a quitter. The figure construction had gone decently well, the proportions were okay. This looked like a drawing that could be saved. So in the face of my failure, I deployed a kneaded eraser and undid all the work I'd done so far on the face. It felt amazing. I'd freed myself of the earlier mistakes. I'd like to say that things went perfectly from here, but really they don't. They go decidedly better, no doubt, and I'm glad I pushed through and didn't give up. I erase, redo, sweat, stress out, chug coffee, butcher the jawline and the hairline, make the eyes uneven. It's a mess. I start to rough in the hands and arms, and it provides a respite from the slowly unfolding train wreck above the neck of this character. Thankfully, the costume details and arms are coming along nicely here. Just like in the Kylo Ren drawing, I'm not doing ovals and bubbling in muscles, just following along with the contours from the reference photo. Hands can be tricky. I'm lightly sketching in rounded off rectangles for the fingers, one rectangle for each joint in each finger. You can never practice drawing hands too much, and so if you sketch daily, try to fit drawing hands into your practice schedule. I have entire pages in my sketchbooks devoted strictly to drawing hands, and I still struggle mightily at times. In sketching the folds in the fabric, I hold the pencil loosely and let the lines be a bit messy. Every chance you get to indicate a different texture, like a wrinkly fabric or the wrappings on Ray's arms, is an opportunity to create a variety in your drawing and make it more interesting. Don't allow your line work to become repetitive, and it will keep your viewers' eyes engaged. After roughing in more details of the costume, I revisit the face again, and finally, at long last, I feel like I'm drawing a female human's face. Maybe it's not very much like Daisy Ridley's face at the moment, but I can see it at least getting closer. Now I'm starting my finished pencils phase, darkening in the costume and facial details. I don't feel like the face is the way I want it, but it's in a place that I can at least accept. I make some additional minor adjustments as I try to lock in these features. I tried to even out the eyes and the eyebrows as the right one seemed to be too high and small. Sketching in the shading around the eyes helps to make the face start to look more three-dimensional, and finally I'm starting to feel a little more decent about it. I usually outline the borders between the lightest areas like the backlighting on the right side of Ray's face and the dark areas like the shading beneath her chin. Some of these lines will stay in the final version of the drawing, some are there to just help me keep up with the contours of the face, and they'll get erased later. Adding in some blacks helps the figure pop off the page a bit more. I decided to extend the lightsaber all the way to the top of the page as I knew the border would be disappearing later. I use a sheet of paper under my drawing hand to minimize smudging and start to finish in the pencils on the face. I'm still not completely happy with the face, but it winds up light years beyond where I started, so I consider that a win. With the hair, again, I'm just trying to give indications of highlights and shadows, but this week I do spend a bit more time doing some more detail in that area, especially on the side lit by the lightsaber. There are lots of ways to get better at drawing hair, but I found the best way is to draw from life. Get tons of reference together and spend time sketching and find ways to make it look as realistic as you can. There aren't really any shortcuts, and there's never really a finish line. You just keep improving through repetitions over time. There's a bit of missing footage between the finished pencils and the inking phase. I'm still learning the hard way that I need to upgrade the memory capacity on my camera, but at least this week I got most of the inks fully recorded. That's going to wrap up this penciling video. The next episode will cover the inking. I hope that you've enjoyed spending these few minutes here with me and that you got something out of this tutorial. Patience with yourself is key to success, and so is finishing what you start. Maybe not every drawing should be finished. Abandoning a project is okay too. But if there are worthy things in your piece, do your best to salvage it, and I think you'll benefit from those lessons and perseverance, and your art will improve. I hope you join me for the inking of this piece in the next episode. This is Rob signing off, and I'll see you next time.